Why did I join the military? Well, I originally joined. I wanted to be able to travel, and I wanted job security. And once I got married and had my daughter, it became a lot more than that. It became a way of life, a way for me to provide for my family. Um, it definitely matured me a lot joining the military. Um, Overall, I think it was a great experience. No, I wasn't a dad when I joined. I joined in, let's see, July of 2010 and didn't leave for basic until January 2011. And then we found out that we were going to have a baby January 2012, and she was born in September. Yeah, my chain of command was pretty. They were pretty supportive. Um, by the time my daughter was born, now we were already separated. My wife and I were already separated, but it didn't matter. I got paternity leave and everything, and I was there in the hospital when she was born. They pretty much gave me everything I needed. They gave us a shout out. They had like a baby shower and stuff like that. Um, the fact that my wife and I were separated, that became a big issue as far as me having the supplies I needed for my daughter. Even though I didn't have custody, um, you know, I wanted to be able to have the things that she needed if I had to take care of her. And my unit really helped me out with that. The fellow soldiers were giving me, things that they had, or went out and bought new things that I needed, diapers, baby food, formula, stuff like that. The most difficult situation I've had to deal with at this point is, I mean, it's all going to be hard one way or the other. My daughter got sick right before I got out of active duty, about a year before I got out of active duty, and my squad leader had never dealt with a single dad. He dealt with single moms, which I didn't understand why he treated me differently. But my daughter got sick. I had to take her to the doctor. I texted him that morning telling him, hey, she's running a fever of 102.8 or whatever it was. If it's not any better in the morning, I texted him that night. I said, if it's not any better in the morning, we'll take her to the doctor. He said, all right, keep me posted. And the morning rolled around, got up for 5:30 to get ready to go to PT, and checked her temperature. It was even higher than it was in the morning. So I told him I was going to take her to the doctor. I didn't know her doctor's office didn't open until noon. So I waited until noon to take her to the doctor because that's when they open. And he calls me on the way there, where you at? And I said, I'm on the way to, my daughter's doctor. And he's like, we can't have you missing a whole day of work. You need to come in and get a counseling statement, which is basically being written up in the Army. And I'm like, what else am I supposed to do, because I don't have the support, I don't have a wife that can go take her, or, family that can go take her to the doctor when I have to work. And so he ended up getting reprimanded for, getting onto me for it, because they're like, he's a single dad. He doesn't really have anybody else to take care of her. Daycares, when they're running a fever like that, won't watch, kids either. Knowing what I know now, what would I change from what I've done at this point? I probably wouldn't have gotten out of active duty. So I was active duty for 6 years, then I got out and I went reserves. And the only reason I came back into the reserves is because insurance is so expensive. I think looking from both me and my daughter, it was over $500 a month. And I just couldn't afford that. Going back into the reserves and getting TRICARE again, I'm paying like $150 a month for both of us, and I have we have a small copay, but it's still better than having to pay $500 a month, even if we don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't have got out of active duty. I probably would have stayed in. Although the reason I got out was so we'd stop moving around so much. I wanted my daughter to be stable. She needed a stable home, stable family, stuff like that. I don't regret getting out, but I think if I had stayed in, there would have been better opportunities for both me and her. Do I ever feel isolated as a parent or a single dad? Sometimes. There's this, even this past weekend, I was I was up doing training. I was supposed to be gone for 2 weeks in the reserves, and basically what you do is you go up there for 2 weeks. They put you in a hotel room or barracks, and you do your 2 weeks training, and then you go home. Well, this had been scheduled. I was supposed to start 2 weeks ago, and funding didn't fall through or whatever. Well, I also live, you know, 200 miles away from where I have to drill. So I they decided, since I was having to stay in a hotel from living so far away, and I and that they were just going to send me home because they didn't have the money to pay for the hotel. I don't understand why, but whatever. Anyway, so they asked me, "Hey, can you come back on the 8th?" When today is, in the middle of July. It's July 23rd. Can you come back on the 8th? And I'm like, well, I just set up, childcare for this 2 weeks, and it's going to be hard for me to do it again. It really is. To have someone watch your kid for 2 weeks overnight, it's very hard, and I don't trust just anybody watching my daughter. So I told them I don't know if I'm going to be able to come in, and obviously they look badly about that, but I can't really control that. Are the things I've been left out as for having a child? Most definitely in the Army. Deployment was a big one. I really wanted to deploy, and back when I first got full custody, I didn't have a family care plan, which is what it's in place for in the Army for, single parents. If something was to happen, we were deployed, whatever. This is who's going to take care of my child while I'm gone for however long. And I didn't have that in place yet because I literally had just got full custody. And since I didn't have that, I didn't get to go to deployment. And there's been other things like, TDY, which is temporary duty assignment, where you go off and you go to a different city, whatever, and do whatever you need to do for the Army. There's been several times where I had to get out of that because, he's got a kid, he can't do it. Now that I'm back in, my hometown or home state, I live just down the road from my mom, so I have a lot more support now than I had. And as long as I have enough notice, I can usually get her to watch it, my daughter. So, with the decisions that I made up to this point, where do I see my future going and my child's? I'm probably going to stay in the reserves at least until I can't anymore. Over time, our bodies start deteriorating and everything. But I'm trying to stay in so we can have the insurance, and that's a big thing. Insurance is not affordable for single parents at all, because barely making ends meet, and then now we got to pay $500-600 a month on top of rent, groceries, everything, just for insurance. And if you don't pay it, you get penalized, and you have to pay a fee anyway. So I see myself staying in the reserves. I'm currently going to school for film, so hoping to do something with that. And as far as my child, she says she wants to go in the Army and be a vet, so we'll see how that goes. Does being a single parent hinder my daily duties as a soldier? I really don't think so. I mean, I can see where you can consider that because of where she gets sick or something, or I gotta go pick her up from school, and I have to stop what I'm doing and go take care of her. But as far as the time that I'm actually there, my mind's strictly on work. I like a big separation between work and home. I think that's a big deal. If anything, I feel like it's helped me, and you got to look at it as you're trying to train a child or set them on the right path in which to go, and sometimes they might vary from that path, from that trail, that track, but as long as you keep steady and everything's going to be all right. Is being a single parent a common occurrence in the military? Not so much anymore. Divorce rates obviously always going to be high because you have soldiers, and this is a fact. It's not just a myth. Since soldiers go out here, especially these military bases where they have all these strip clubs and bars and stuff like that, women and men, not just women and men prey on single soldiers. They see the benefits, see the it's a way out of their hometown or what have you, and so they prey on them. And obviously, same situation I was in. I was with my wife for 4 months before we separated because it just didn't work out. You rush into a relationship, you don't think, and then a child gets involved. You get pregnant, and somebody's got to take care of that child. And usually the states deem one parent more fit or give them primary custody. I didn't really have to fight for custody. My ex-wife just gave it to me, but there are several instances where the mom has to fight to keep the dad away from him because he's abusive or something like that. And I find that it's very common in the army more so because I think that the stigma is there for that. How's my leadership abilities improved since I've been a parent? I'm definitely more patient than I used to be. My daughter has definitely taught me that. I've lost my patience a few times with her, but I've learned that it's best to walk away and calm down. And I've also learned that there's more than one side of the story. And when we're dealing with soldiers, as I'm a squad leader, I've learned that it's best just to walk away, calm down, come back, and then confront it. And remember that there's two sides to the story. I think that's a big thing. Always two sides to the story. And it's important to pay attention to what you're doing when you're talking to these soldiers and your child, because in the end, whatever your words are makes an impact on them. Same way working with a helicopter, any little small detail can make a catastrophe. You set off a child or you set off a soldier and you say the wrong thing and hurt their feelings, they're never going to trust you again. And where it's just going to take a long time for you to build the trust. And I think that being a parent has made me see that more so than just being in a leadership position. Do I think being a leader in the military has affected me as a parent, my parenting? Most definitely. I'm very strict when it comes to my daughter. My grandfather, when he was alive, would always tell me, "Stop being so military with her. Stop being so military with her." Some of my punishments was like trying to make her do push-ups and stuff like that. I don't do it anymore because I've realized it was wrong. But I try like keeping her on a schedule and everything. It's very strict. She has a high standard that I wasn't set to when I was a kid, and I think it's mainly because of me being in the military. When's the time that my leadership didn't improve me being a dad or single dad? Like I said, one time that she was sick and I had to take off work to go take care of her. Anytime she was sick and I had to take off work to take care of her. My daughter has special needs, and so she requires a lot of extra care and extra doctor visits and stuff like that. And being a single parent, I was the only one that could take her to them. And at first, for a while, it was, why is she having so many appointments? Why are you doing all this? Are you just trying to get out of work? No, I wasn't just trying to get out of work. I enjoy my job. I enjoy being in the military. I signed up for a reason, but my child comes first, you know what I'm saying? As a single dad, do I feel like I'm treated differently than single moms in the military? Sometimes. I know a lot of times. I had a fellow soldier who was a single mom. She was sent home early every day. Gotta go pick my daughter up from daycare. Not a problem. Go ahead and go take care of it. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, at 1500, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were working until like 7 o'clock at night. And I couldn't do that, obviously. They're like, well, somebody else can take care of her. I'm like, well, I have, someone watching her that I'm paying, and you're keeping me here late. I didn't see the point, and I didn't see how it was equal there. They wanted me to give up custody of my child so I could deploy, and I just wasn't going to do that. What advice would I give to other single parents? Don't give up hope. Keep working hard. Don't get out of active duty if you're active duty. The benefits outweigh the negatives, and just keep thinking about your child and thinking about their future. Don't worry about yourself, because right now they're the most important thing out there. The most important thing to you should be your child. Just keep your head forward. It's going to suck for a while. You know, it might be 15 years. It's going to suck. But in the end, it's going to be worth it because you're setting them up for life. And you got to think that you probably didn't have that choice or that chance. That's all I got. Thanks. What's my favorite part of being in the military? I think my favorite part of being in the military is the difference I get to make. I always get a feeling of accomplishment when I work on a helicopter and I'm able to fix the problem that it's have, and they take it out and they fire it up for the first time, and I get to see it fly, and it doesn't blow up. I feel a very good sense of accomplishment when I do that. I'm like, man, I did this. And I get the same feeling when my daughter does something that I taught her. Her vocabulary is extending right now, and she's starting to learn how to read on her own. And I'm like, wow, she's really smart. And it's not something that I've taught her. I'm not trying to teach her to read yet because I don't feel like she's ready for it. But she's taking the initiative on herself to do that. It's amazing to me. And when I'm leading a group of soldiers, you can have the same thing. You can give them plant this idea in their head. All right, this is what we need to take care of, and watch as a couple hours down the road. Oh, we took care of that. We did this, and this, and this, and this, this, and this. Oh, and by the way, we think you should help us with this. And I'm like, well, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you're right. We needed to do all this. I think it's amazing that we can do that. What kind of obstacles do I face being a single parent? I think just making sure I'm doing the right thing with my child. And it's hard for me to be a single parent, especially in the military, and hardly ever be there for her. She made a comment a few months back when I was still active duty. She asked me, she said, "Daddy, when am I going to get daddy time?" And I'm like, "Well, honey, I got to go to work to make money." She said, "Well, what do we need money for?" I'm like, "Honey, I got to, make money." I'm trying to make it sound like it's all for her. I make money so you can get new toys and new clothes and things like that. And she's, "Daddy, I don't need I don't want new toys and new clothes. I want to spend time with you." And it just broke my heart because I realized, I've worked so much being in the Army that I don't really get to spend that much time with her, and it's hard. And if I deploy come next year or whenever I deploy, that's 9 months to a year that I'm going to be out of her life, and it really hits hard.